How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the pipeline. That's right. We're lining up some pipes this week, baby. We're talking about the news of the week. It was a pretty slow news week, but we had some very interesting stuff from Nintendo specifically. Let's jump right into it. Who is Emio? Who is this mysterious person with a paper bag on their head? My goodness. So are you even able to play that, Tom? Could you do that for me?
I think
You have to go to the actual video.
let's go to the site.
This is good. There we go.
Oh,
Oh, Nintendo, what are you
Oh.
doing? Nintendo, video may be appropriate, not be appropriate. Okay, here we go. Rated M. Oh my goodness, what is this?
M for Metroid.
Yes, exactly. This is Silex with a paper bag on his
Over-
head. I know it.
on the site, when I was doing one of the thumbnails, he has a knife in his hand.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's not in this video.
Oh, and
They
there's
kinda,
a-
like did
yeah.
different.
I don't know, but there's a different variation of the mask too in another trailer, I believe.
Yeah,
It's not in the trailer. It's on
The
NCO's
Japanese website?
website for this.
Yeah.
Where either one of two videos plays in the background, and the other one is indeed with a different bag and a knife.
Yeah. So, wow, what an interesting sort of announcement, right? Like, it's just the title of the video is just Emio, and the description is the hashtag Who is Emio, and the Japanese text written at the end says, I think translates to Smiling Man. So this is a very unusual kind of announcement from Nintendo, and we don't know anything else about this title except the fact that it's coming to Switch, obviously. But the fact that the trailer ends with the Nintendo logo really makes me think like this is not some third-party kind of announcement. Might not even be like a second. This is like a straight up going to be like a first-party sort of Nintendo game.
Yep. Especially since the announcement went live on all of their social media platforms, including like even the Japanese accounts. That's kind of telling that it's not like some sort of published third-party title. It's something they're doing either in-house or with one of their own studios. That it's a Nintendo-made rated M game, which is kind of unheard
Yeah.
of.
Right.
mean,
yeah, you were
it's
saying
sort
Don?
of. I'm sorry. It's sort of. I mean, it ties into a thing that happened earlier in the year. So we already discussed the thing with another Polish company, but this time with another Polish company, which is Blooper Team, who said in their financials in April from, hey, we have a project with Nintendo. And they only make solely spooky video games.
Right.
Quality of which can be debated, but
Right, I've heard. Yeah, I've mentioned that too. I did a news update about that, about Bloober Team possibly being connected to this. Some people disagreed with me, stating that that in that quote he just said like this game is being made for Nintendo platforms, but he didn't say like exclusively Nintendo platforms. I don't know. Part of me hopes that it's not. Part of me hopes it's not Bloober Team because
So the full quote says they were making this party in collaboration with Nintendo and as a second party.
I see. Okay.
okay.
and
So it's either that or the other possibility would be it's another Fatal Frame game, but this seems too weird and abstract to be a Fatal Frame game.
yeah, it's like not quite as bad. But the real Sean Stewart says, if you ask me, knowing their obscure history, Nintendo making an M game is not that shocking. We were kind of looking this up. Like, it's just the first for that rating the other day, and Pikmin sort of has a few of them. It's like Fatal Frame, Geist, or Eternal Darkness. Those are all sort of second party.
Yeah, they're all like
published
published
games.
by Nintendo, but they're not like made in-house by Nintendo's core teams.
And you know, this might not also be made in house. You know, it could be from another developer as well, or like, what does Project M? It means Project Mansion. Why was I about to say Mansion? I need to go back to bed. Like,
It's French.
Too early.
Mansion.
yes,
Mansion.
yeah, and it's just the fact that it was called Project M. There's like how many different Nintendo Project M's? There's the Smash Bros mod, and then there's other M, which is just
Yeah, that's
wild.
also what the project was called in Blooper. It's Project M, which I mean, it doesn't tell you much, but the only in the extended quote it basically says, "Hey, this is a second party thing." I think this might be it. If I have to go by the imagery, I think this might be it.
Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, somebody mentioned in the comments, isn't Bloober Team Sora mentioned isn't Bloober Team still working on Silent Hill? Yeah, they're doing the Silent Hill 2 remake, but Bloober Team makes a ton of different games at the same time. They're a
yeah.
big studio. They're very huge. So they worked on, for those of you who don't know, Bloober Team worked on Layers of Fear 1 and 2, that Blair Witch game, the Medium it was originally an Xbox exclusive, and they're currently working on the Silent Hill 2 remake, and I just have to say their games are mid. So if they are making this game, I don't know how this studio gets so many opportunities. Like if they really are working with Nintendo, I'm just like, why? Does the CEO blackmail people? My goodness.
Well, they certainly have great connections by the looks of it to be doing Silent Hill and this. My thoughts is that this is the experimental era of the Switch, so maybe Nintendo is taking a chance here. Nintendo did do things like Devil's Third, which was very mid, I guess. Low mid, even.
You mean bad.
Yeah. So they are willing to take a chance. It could be part of it too that Nintendo is trying to expand its audience still. Like listening to Sean Layton talk about the console industry itself, it's like pretty small because it's kind of the same players over and over again. Like it is smart for them to be trying to do different things. And for Nintendo, like they don't have the mature audience as much. Like maybe they just want to experiment it and try something out. So,
and especially now, it's a great time to experiment when I mean the Switch install base is like the highest it could possibly be before a new console comes out, right? So this is definitely a great way to actually like see how much of the audience that currently owns a Switch, which is huge, would actually buy a game like this. And if this is something that does well, could also spell out what sort of avenues Nintendo could explore on their next platform as well.
Right. Totally. And let's, how mature is this game? Let's take a look at the rating from the Australian, what's it called? The Australian version of the trailer uploaded to Nintendo Australia. So here, there's a rating at the beginning of it. We're not going to show it on screen. I have it on the left of me. For one, it even starts with a warning saying the video contains scenes that some viewers may find disturbing. So if you really don't like paper bags, like turn away. Turn away. But yeah, there's ratings saying MA15, of course. All right, here's the reasons why this game is rated this. Strong themes, violence, suicide references, cruelty, domestic abuse. They really just, wow. I want to think the president of Nintendo was just like, I need all this in this game. And then he just had like a bad morning or something. I don't know. Like, this is so like, just the fact that they put domestic abuse in there. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Oh man, now I'm really curious what this game's even about.
It's wild too when you think about content that's been in like varying Nintendo games over the last like even like 5 years for this warning to be in there. It means it's depicted in a way that's more graphic too. Because like, for example, Xenoblade 3 has moments of suicide. That did not get a rated M. So that's kind of telling.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Did they like actually show it in the game too? Spoiler alert? Or
basically, not like graphically, but
right.
it was like gun to the head kind of thing. Yeah. So
that's crazy. Yeah, so and the fact that this game already has this hadn't occurred to me until yesterday. The fact that this game has been rated like in multiple regions means that it's definitely coming out this year at some point.
Right. Yeah. And not even just at some point. Presumably soon. I mean, horror kind of game, Halloween coming up in October. That's kind of a perfect time for that. Yeah,
it really is, especially because they made Luigi's Mansion 2 come out this month for some reason, or
true.
last month now. Yeah, can't believe it's July already.
I can't help but point out you had the exact same thought I had for Zombie Ubisoft.
Yes. Now I want to play Zombie U. I have not beaten that game, and like, yeah, it's that's another game that's mid, right? But I still got like a nostalgia for it because it's like a Wii U launch title,
right?
Yeah.
Well, two things. First, I opened the European chargers to see what's a PEGI rating. Obviously, it's PEGI 18. I didn't know. I expected otherwise. Top comment though is plot twist. Emio is what actually happened to Poiro.
PR. I read a tweet that said this is not a game, it's the announcement of Puro's public execution.
So, genuine question before we move on from Emio. What do we even think the gameplay to this is going to be like? Because we know nothing. We've just seen these images. It could be first-person horror. It could be Resident Evil. Like, I don't know the style of what this could be like.
I mean, if it's a blooper team game, we know exactly what to expect.
Okay,
Mid.
that's fair.
Whoa,
That's fair.
shots fired.
So here's the thing. The Bloober team has done third and first person games, although they're mostly done first person games. So if this is a Bloober team game, I'm willing to bet it's first person, although I could be very wrong and I wouldn't be surprised if I was. I'm very much looking forward to finding out what this game is, because it's just like some people were saying, why didn't they put this in the direct? Because this is infinitely more interesting, like what they're doing right now. Just showing this very brief teaser, something that you would not expect on Nintendo's YouTube channels in the year 2024.
And it would have gotten completely overshadowed in a direct. It would have been like looked at as like, all right, moving on. People wouldn't have processed it in the same way with everything else that was there.
That's true. That's very true.
I want to say a quick prediction. So I predict I would love this if you're like a group of like 4 survivors and that paper bag man, the Emio or whatever, is chasing you down in some way, and like you have to work together to like, escape a house. That's what I would hope.
I will say
Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, what Kay is saying in the chat. It's a pretty good point.
But a Bloober Team game under guidance of Nintendo could be way more good quality-wise.
Yeah, that's like Silicon Knights. Look at Silicon Knights under Nintendo. They made a fantastic Eternal Darkness. Oh, there's a deer walking.
Oh, dear. Okay, Tom,
Right
I was
now. Sorry for
legit
distraction.
I was legit wondering if you had a green screen.
I'm
behind
sorry.
you, Tom.
This is like. No, let's see. Yeah, there's a deer.
Oh dear!
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Watching you too.
Yeah. We have a deer on the pipeline today. That's like probably like a 1-year-old.
Can you ask the deer what their thoughts are on Emio?
Deer, what are your thoughts on Emio? It's just standing in the headlights right now in horror. So back to Eternal Darkness. Sorry for the wildlife distraction. No, okay, there's a second one now. And so Eternal Darkness, like that was going to be an N64 game, and like they pushed it back to GameCube. Then they had Twin Snakes. That was admittedly a game that's already like out, but the final product was great. But then Silicon Knights, they kind of got, let's say, kind of full of themselves in a way, and they went on to work on 2 Human, and that was terrible. Like without.
And then
they did 2 Human. All right.
Yeah, and they like sued Epic and stuff, and I believe lost. So
and then they did X-Men.
Yeah, and then they had the X-Men one that Activision kind of said you have to release this now because they kind of were thinking they were using those funds to work on.
They released that boy on the Wii as well. Oh my lord!
What game?
X-Men.
Yeah. Yeah, it's So Nintendo definitely can make a studio better, give them the time, or just prod them to make a game great.
The kind of guidance that they can offer can definitely affect the quality of the game in a good way or a bad way, but it can affect it separately from how a studio can make it on its own.
To that point, I also feel that with Mercury's team, like I enjoyed their Castlevania games good enough, but I think with the guidance on Metroid, they were helped a ton.
Oh, yeah. Big time. I don't know any, like, I've heard that that one, did they do one Castlevania game or like multiple?
2, I believe.
2?
I think it was 2.
Yeah, I heard those are fine.
Do the handheld one?
I don't know. They did, they did, what's it called? The Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate or something?
Mirror of Fate, yeah.
What a stupid title. I'm
Next
sorry.
Level Games even made non-Nintendo games, and like we don't really talk about them.
Believe it or not.
Look at Rare made some of the Disney games, and like they were okay, but not the same.
Rare made a
Actually,
lot of games under Xbox too, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're okay.
good question in chat from Taylor Plays of would we all be open to more horror games if Emio is successful? Presumably, specifically from Nintendo, of course.
Well, of course, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love horror. Horror is one of my favorite genres when it's pulled off
When
well.
they dip their toes in it, I was always more of a Fatal Frame person, and I love that Fatal Frame was exclusive to Nintendo. But the last two games they've now made available to more platforms, and I'm not really sure what the status of that deal.
That's fair. That's fair. I do think it's a great avenue for Nintendo to explore, and I think if it's successful, it would be good to see Nintendo just have even more variety under like their specific arsenal, and not just from third parties.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Let's move on, Tom, to that message I sent you in the Discord chat because
Yep, I
this
got
is
it
a
ready.
big deal. It's a big
It's
deal.
all about Joey wanting to give me a raise.
That's right.
No, it's not.
All right. It's official. As of yesterday, Andy Robinson from Video Games Chronicle posted this yesterday. So the number has gone up since it's official. No Nintendo console has lasted as long as the Switch before being replaced. It's now been 2,688 days now since launch, beating the 2,686 between Famicom and Super Famicom. And for the filthy Americans, that's NES to Super NES. So this is at this point, it's not shocking to me, but it's still kind of shocking because just the fact that I didn't buy a Switch OLED because I thought the Switch 2 was going to come out sooner. Didn't happen. It's like 3 years since that thing came out, and it's still not
True.
out yet. So just the fact that Nintendo was able to get this far on this console, which is like, I know I talk a lot about how power doesn't really matter that much as people make it out to be, but it is still impressive to me how Nintendo was able to keep this system alive for this long, despite not being that powerful of a system. And, you know, like third-party support has kind of waned in the past few years, but that just goes to show that Nintendo's first-party lineup has just still been crushing it for years and years and years. And the fact that people are not only buying Switches, but they're still playing their Switches, even to this day. It's not like the Wii, where like most people bought it and then let it collect dust. This is not the case with the Switch. And yeah, this is really cool. What do we think about this?
I mean, it says a lot, right? About how like when you look at the Switch library, still even this year, we've had a lot of really big titles this year still, and even with the Switch successor on the horizon for probably next year, we're still getting a lot coming this year too. Nintendo's clearly not slowing down at all, so the momentum of the Switch is kind of unheard of for any of Nintendo's consoles. Even the Wii, as great as that was, the last like few years of it really kind of died down. But we're really not seeing that here with the Switch. So the fact that it has hit this milestone shouldn't be surprising, but it still is, and just continues to be this testament to the success of the Switch.
It's also interesting to look back on because obviously this only says home consoles, but the previous generations, obviously there was also like a handheld segment, particularly that started between the rung between Famicom and Super Famicom with the Game Boy 2 years prior. And it's different now where we get more software basically on one device. So I think the longevity could be stretched even further than this beyond what we're seeing today.
Right. Yeah, the gap between the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance, I did the math, is like 4,300 days or 11 years. So that was
longer.
Yeah,
Definitely longer.
The Switch is not going to beat that, like especially because we know when the Alan says, "Do you think the next console has a chance to beat this record?" I'm going to go in on I don't know about pessimistic or like realistic take. I don't think so.
No.
Because Nintendo consoles in the past, they've like when Nintendo's always released a successor console, the successor console always sells less than the previous console. So I kind of feel like they won't hold out as long with the Switch 2. Although maybe I could be wrong as well. Maybe that power jump will help them stay around longer. I don't know. I don't think the Switch 2 is going to be as successful as the Switch 1, mainly just because like Switch 1 is going to probably be maybe the best-selling console of all time by the time the Switch 2 comes out. Who's to say? And people will still be buying Switch 1s after Switch 2 comes out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I don't think the Switch 2 won't be as successful. It won't be a Wii U flop. Not at all. but it'll still not be as
well,
like.
also have to realize that not every consumer is as savvy, and somebody who buys a Switch within the next 6 months will still use it actively for the next 3 years.
Yes.
So I still think what I'm saying with longevity, it basically comes down to any Switch that still gets bought within the next year will still stay on that Switch 1. So a good chunk of them will not see the need directly to move over to a Switch 2 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
right.
I'm interested in how long the overlap will be in between generations when they have games
That's true.
show up on both.
Oh no, my camera is being
Joey's gone
bad.
to the Emio world.
Oh no,
Um,
the Emmy
so-
zone.
yeah, well, Joey's wearing that. Just there's
Yeah,
gonna be that
just-
overlap, so Nintendo can keep selling the Switch. Like they could consider lowering the price or switch to a higher price, and they can keep the market going as a way of transition. Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a super chat. We'll just go to quickly from Esteban Cardeneras. Thank you for making Starcorn videos for Mario Wii. We are about to finish the whole game. Well,
That's a throwback.
the throwback. Congratulations, and thank you for watching and for the super chat. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
and
think-
now I have to switch to my crummy little Logitech whip.
It looks fine, Joey.
So
No,
I-
stop it, Tom.
I think it's important to note that comparing the Switch 2 success to the Switch 1 is kind of setting the bar a little too high. Not
Yes.
because, oh, how dare it not overtake the Switch, but look at all these records the Switch is setting.
Yeah.
It's not reasonable to assume the very next thing is going to top all these because all these, nobody even expected the Switch to top any of these records
Right.
in the first place.
Yeah.
So just because the Switch successor may not reach the same exact highs as the Switch does
Right.
not mean it's going to have any sort of failure necessarily.
It's I like to look at it as culture phenomenons. The Famicom and the NES were culture phenomenons. Like even the Super Nintendo and how many better it was didn't outsell it or
Yeah.
didn't outgrow that margin. And the Switch is a similar setup where I believe it will do well as a follow-up to Switch. I don't think it will outsell it in the slightest.
No, not
Yeah.
at all.
Don, that's a great point. Like if the next one did Super Nintendo numbers compared to like Famicom, let's say, that would still be really good and
Yeah.
kind of what we could expect.
There is only one area I can, off the top of my head right now, see the Switch 2 beating the Switch 1, and it's in year one, like momentum
Right.
sales. I
think
can
that's
see,
a good
I can
prediction.
see
Yeah.
that like beating out what the Switch's year one was.
Mm-hmm. And there's going to be, like Don said, there's going to be a lot of people who are still playing their current Switches. There's going to be a lot of people who even bought their Switches years ago who are not going to see a need to upgrade to a Switch 2 at all.
Yeah.
Real
Play
quick.
Animal Crossing. Yeah, I bought my Switch to play Animal Crossing. Why would, yeah.
Well, new Animal
I'm
Crossing.
just blocked by Snoutlet.
Snoutlet, what do you
What-
think
what-
the new gimmick will be?
Oh, Joy-Cons that don't drift.
An actual functional eShop without the need of a AAA clock.
It's yeah. Amazing. Here's the thing. I can't possibly think the Switch 2 is going to have a gimmick. I think it's just going to be a more powerful Switch. But
Yeah.
it's interesting because I'm doing a feature right now on the Wii U and like what Nintendo learned from its failure. And one of the lessons I gotta imagine they learned is you can't rely on a name alone to sell
Yeah.
Wii U's. The former president of Nintendo, the one who succeeded Iwata after he passed away, Tatsumi Kimishima, said that said that a lot of the talk around the Wii U back at Nintendo was like, hey, the Wii sold a lot. Naturally, the Wii U is going to sell a lot. But he did not think it was going to sell a lot because of like the Wii install base. And just like, there's not going to be much of a reason for people to upgrade to a Wii U. And so I got to think Nintendo took that lesson to heart and like, maybe they have to do something a little, not too different, but a little different with the Switch 2 to make it stand out more. And like, because they can't rely on a name alone to sell like more Switches. Even as we were just talking about, so many people are not going to feel a need to upgrade to Switch 2 for a long time.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, I'll say for gimmick, I'll just say it'll be able to wirelessly beam to any TV with a little dongle thing, and which makes sense. Just Chromecast, and I don't know, within 6 months, return of something like Miiverse. That'll be the gimmick. There you go.
Yes.
That would be fun. I think a gimmick I hope to see, I don't know if it'll actually happen, is I want it to lean more on like handheld things. Like now that the 3DS is gone, give me some of those 3DS features. Like Street Pass. Give people a reason to actually take their Switch with them beyond simply I could play Mario on the go.
Or do local multiplayer.
Location-based gaming. That would be pretty sweet.
I mean, isn't that what the PlayStation Vita tried to do and never succeeded in?
Hey, learn from their mistakes. It's like Oculus Quest learning from Virtual Boy.
The mistake is the mistake was putting a SIM card in your handheld console.
That's
Seriously.
right. Man, I remember watching that. I remember watching that PS Vita like E3 reveal and just being like, "Oh, I gotta get myself the SIM card one so I could play Killzone Mercenary online during road trips." Stupid. I never bought a PS Vita until like 2 years ago. So there you go.
All right, I have Vita 2 years ago.
I remember it being called the NGP, Next Generation Portable.
Same here.
It's a little too close to Neo Geo Pocket Color, but
right. Exactly.
Let's move on.
Moving on up.
Starfy,
what
is
this? Is this the Smash Bros. Assist trophy? Dang.
Yes.
So this was a surprise. The Starfy, is it Starfy? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Starfy, yes. So this was a surprise. For the first time, the Starfy games are officially available outside of Japan on Nintendo Switch Online. Although, judging by this trailer, I have not played the games yet. It's not localized in any way, shape, or form, which is kind of weird. But take what you can get, right?
Platformer, so you'll be fine. But yeah, it's weird.
But I want to know the story, Don. Tell me the story.
You are a starfish creature called Starfy.
Oh, I thought he was literally just a star, not a starfish, or as the politically correct term is sea star. So there you go. But yeah, this is really cool. What do we think of this? I have not played these games at all. Don, have you?
Yeah, they're fun.
Nice.
I mean, the first one I played was the localized one by Nintendo of America on DS.
Oh, so you're telling me there is a localized version of that game, and it's not on Switch because it's on DS, and there's no way to play DS games on Switch.
You're right.
Well, it's a later Starfy game. It's not a remake of one of these, right? Yeah, like it's a later one.
Yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay.
But yeah, I went back later down to play these on the GBA, and they're pretty good. Yeah.
I'll say with Starfy, I picked it up for 300 yen, which is like $3 in like a bargain bin thing at a used game shop in Japan. So it's like that mentality of like the value isn't there, but the game itself was fun. So
I think it's surprising they didn't translate them at all, but it is nice to see that they're using NSO as a way to release some games that have never actually left Japan.
Yeah,
I mean, it won't happen from other three guys,
but
yeah,
this is really exciting.
You guys never got officially Kokokura, and you got it through NSO, so
yeah.
Yeah, I just hope the DS gets a switch to the NSO thing or something. I don't know. This is cool. So we got a chat thing saying hold on one second. The real Sean Stewart said, "I love Starfy. Please don't sleep on these games. They're underrated classics."
Yeah.
All right, Sean. The real Sean. Are you the real Sean W. Stewart? That sounds like something the fake Sean W. Stewart would say.
I've heard some really good things about these. I've heard like they're really good, like classic platformers, and I hear a lot of people compare them to like Kirby games. So I'm definitely curious to check them out.
I would consider them close to Kirby. I would say that they're slightly more challenging.
Okay,
but
that's exciting.
Moving on to keep things at rapid pace. This is something from Tris.
Yes. Okay.
Talk to me, Tris. What is this?
Yes. So this Piranha Plant Pipeline, a course that is only in Mario Kart Tour, is back in the game after an entire year of being unavailable. So Mario Kart Tour functions on a system of every 2 weeks, pretty much all the content in the game cycles out. All the courses you can play cycles out, the characters you can claim from the shop and whatnot cycle out. And this course has not actually been available since this week last year. and it's the only course from Tour, like a completely original course that's not in 8 Deluxe. It was not added to the Booster Course Pass, which is weird. So, given that every other course in Tour is a retro course that's either from any other Mario Kart game you could pick up and play, or got into the Booster Course Pass, or they're variations of existing courses, this is the only like completely original course that can only be played in a 2-week period. And given that this game is stopped in new content, I wouldn't be surprised if Mario Kart Tour ends before this comes back again next year.
That's true. All I'm thinking is Nintendo should have hired us to sponsor this because it's called Pipeline.
Exactly.
Pipeline on pipeline.
I mean, they're just saving it for Mario Kart 10, aren't they?
Maybe.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, like of course, it's entirely possible. This just guarantees it'll get into the next game, but like we can't sit there and say with 100% certainty that'll be the case.
Okay,
I hope
Chris,
so.
important question. How high would you rank this track out of all your favorite Mario Kart tracks?
In terms of up with my favorites, I wouldn't say it's up there with my favorites, but I do like it more than some of the other new courses introduced in Tour. I like it more than some of the cities. I definitely like it better than like Sky High Sunday. But it's
Sunday.
I know that's a low bar, right?
Yeah.
No, but I definitely think it's a course worth trying because the way it splits the paths for like the whole middle section isn't really something they do in many courses.
I see. Yeah, I also love how Don mentioned Mario Kart 10 because we're just all in belief that they're going to skip 9 and go straight to 10.
The 9
Well,
is
Tour is 9. It has all that content in 8. It's clearly a mainline game.
Truly, right? But I also hear 9's a bad luck number in Japan, so
Well, that's like why Windows.
Well, that's why they didn't give it a
9.
name. That's just called a Tour, not Mario Kart 9.
Yeah, that's true. And it's like the iPhone skipped 9, Windows, like Tom was saying, skipped 9. So it's par for the course. 9's the least favorite number in all of the humanity.
Isn't there going to be that PlayStation 9 though? Like in that commercial, the orb thing. Wasn't that PlayStation 9? I forget which version.
That was PlayStation 9.
Is that what's
right.
after the PS5?
Yeah.
Yes. Can't wait.
Orb thing.
All right, so everyone, play Piranha Plant Pipeline, or is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Awesome. Let's move on to the next thing.
Okay, this is a quick one for a Kickstarter that just launched. This is from Dinios Games. They made Save Me Mr. Taco. Is it Taco or Taco?
I think it's Taco, like
Taco.
Tako. Yep.
And their new game, Taco no Himitsu, is now, their Kickstarter is now live. There is a demo for it. We'll just watch this trailer quickly.
Press play.
Unfortunately, you can't hear the sound. You'll see who one of the composers is.
Well, it mentioned it also in the tweet. So,
And it's a big deal, but it's kind of nice to see. I mean, their first game was very like Game Boy Color kind of game.
Yeah.
So it's neat to see now they're jumping into a Game Boy Advance style game, and it really like captures that energy like right away.
Yeah, it's a big step up. I'm a little spoiled from Sea of Stars recently, but the graphics still are pretty good in this one.
It has that kind of Golden Sun look to it.
yes, for sure.
Yeah, I haven't played Golden Sun yet, but I'm willing to give this one a chance because Golden Sun is one of those that it's like you hear about later and it's like, oh, I regret not getting
It's on NSO, so it can be played.
I might actually have it for one of my friends, for all I know,
There
a
you
pile
go.
of Game Boy Advance games.
But doesn't the Game Boy Advance on Switch have what's it called? Save states and rewind?
Yeah, that's a bit easier now.
If it wasn't for the save states, I would have never gotten through Oracle of Ages and Seasons for that game club crap we did.
That's a throwback.
It kind of looks like you raise octopus and they are your abilities.
It did look like you're raising an octopus, but there's like a lot of little things going on here, like a bunch of different characters. Like, it's like a bunch of different things. Like look, there's like a little like, rhythm game going on. Like there's it's charming, and it has Motoi Sakuraba,
Yeah,
which is actually a really big deal.
yeah, Johnny, not a Pokemon game, just RPG. But this one is it does have a demo. We'll get to it. There's a Kickstarter now. As Flapjack put the link to. And I know they've been working on this for a while because I have heard about it in the past, but
Mhm.
like a Kickstarter, like one we'll get to later on, they're often worked on quite a bit before going live on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Because you can't, you have to convince people that the work
The
is
game can
there
be
to
made.
go through it.
Well, also you need to have a proof of concept on Kickstarter. That's a
Exactly.
requirement.
So
That's
yeah,
also-
they're only about
They're almost
I
there.
want to say $5,000-6,000 US away. This is in Canadian right now, their goal. And they will be showing it at Bit Summit. I'll be going to Bit Summit. Maybe I'll get to talk to them, but I'll
Ooh.
probably be checking the demo out before then. So yeah, it's still 28 days to go. A huge shot out of the gate.
Mm.
That's right. Very cool.
Wow.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
that's done really well at first. That's pretty great, actually.
Yeah, I think like having the composer of Golden Sun probably always helps. Like how Shovel Knight had the composer of Mega Man in there. So
Hmm.
No
And-
wonder it sounded distinctively Mega Man.
well, mostly Jake Kaufman, but
I see.
okay, let's
Next.
move on to a really quick one. Here we go. This was the 1,000-Year Door had an update.
Oh, I
Chris,
missed this.
are any of these updates? Have you seen this? Or any of these updates things you're like, yes, I want.
I genuinely didn't even realize I got an update. I missed that in our document. I didn't see the other day. I imagine if there were like game breaking bugs, yeah, like I see here like error that makes it unable to like restart the game or like continue the game. So it looks like they're fixing the game breaking bugs, but I wonder if they're also patching out like speedrunning glitches, which would be unfortunate, but
There are a number of other issues fixed. So
Also, they randomly fix some language issues, which doesn't very happen often with Nintendo.
that's true.
if
Fixing
only
text
they
issues.
had-
I imagine some
Yeah.
like typos and things like that might be fixed.
How imagine how they would miss them in the first place, but okay.
I have a confession. I'm still only on chapter 3 of this game.
I'm
It's
still
just
You'll
like
get there. You'll get there.
I'll get there. It's just a very slow burn, it feels like.
I'm a correction. I only played 3 levels of Luigi's Mansion 2 HD.
Well, I've played no levels of Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. I played that entire game on 3DS last year and said, I don't need this remaster.
I still have to try Scarescraper on that. That's the one thing. I want.
Skyscraper is really good, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good to see Pibmar getting an update, even if it's like mainly to fix like game breaking things. I mean, that's things you definitely want, not even your game. But it's
Yeah.
interesting that they're actually like paying attention to other kind of glitches. I hope. I haven't talked to them much, but I hope the speedrunning community isn't getting screwed over by this.
Look
But
at,
it does make me wonder what sort of other issues they're fixing.
Trish, look at Pikmin's chat.
Oh, they fixed some sequence breaking glitches. Yeah, okay. So they're definitely addressing.
Yeah.
They're definitely addressing some speedrunning things.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it, Nintendo.
I mean, there's
Just
an easy
after,
fix for that.
just after Summer Games done quick,
Yeah.
they waited.
I mean, there's an easy fix for this. Just don't update the game.
That's true.
Yeah.
So not that they
You,
get-
Don't
you
do
can
it.
turn off automatic updates.
Turn off
Yeah,
the
that's
mono
always an
updates.
option.
Very cool stuff. All right, what's the other quick thing, Tom?
The other quick thing is Pokemon Sleep's tracking
Ooh.
app made $100 million.
I don't know a
thing I was kind
soul.
of like laughing at made $100 million. Does anyone in chat use this?
I do.
I
Yeah.
Chris, you've used it.
I'm currently on day 353.
How's
wow.
your sleep, and have you spent money on it?
I have, yes.
Oh my God, Don! No,
Don.
no, Don! How many
No.
times have I told you to be fiscally responsible and you don't listen?
Yeah,
No.
You're talking to the most fiscally irresponsible person in this call right now.
No, yeah, I jumped on this a bit later than everyone else. I know we're in like the first anniversary for the game right now. I don't
Yeah.
think I jumped on this until like late August originally.
Sure. Yeah.
But I have a good time with this, honestly. I think it's a pretty fun game, and I like just the daily cycle of like checking in and like feeding the Snorlax and checking in on the Pokemon. I got a shiny this morning, so evidently the game likes me back. But
I mean, I partially I do use it for its intended use, which is for the sleep tracking element of it. And the reason why I spend money is I actually use the premium features of this app, so just to check my sleeping patterns over the last month and so.
Yeah, I do
Um,
have like the premium thing, but I haven't like
Yeah.
I haven't like spent money otherwise. I'm just on like the
For
service
sure.
for it.
Like ultimately, I mostly use it to store Pokemon, get more points, that sort of stuff. But not really like the actual microtransactions. I do use the subscription stuff, so I can actually heavily interact with it and use it. I tend to use better. But like the Pokemon side of it, I mean, it's nice that they keep updating stuff. I do feel like the last few months have been a bit slow in terms of them adding new stuff. They're only
I
adding,
mean,
like, for example, the Palladian starters during the 1 year festival.
yeah. And we don't even have like every starter otherwise. We only have like the first
Yeah.
2 generations of starters.
Also, for some reason, for people who never played this, they did Raikou, they did Entei. They still haven't done Suicune, and it's been 2 months.
I'm expecting Suicune to be sometime in like September. Personally, I'd be shocked if we reach winter and Suicune still hasn't happened yet.
I mean, yeah, but yeah, it's I don't know. I use it every morning, a little bit in the afternoon during lunch, and then the evening just before to go to bed and interact with it a little bit, and then turn it off.
Yeah,
It's fine. It's a good service. It helps. It helps that it has Pokemon in it. Do I ultimately use it for the Pokemon stuff? Not really, but it helps me actually using it.
Everything you all said is a foreign language to me.
All right. Well, should we move on to our topical freeze today?
yeah, I think so.
Yes, I think
Okay.
so.
Joey, what is the topical freeze?
I can't talk about it until I see the logo, Tom.
Oh, whoop.
Ah, there we go. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
So yesterday marked the 9 year. It's weird calling it a 9 year anniversary because it's like we're celebrating it, but
Yeah,
we're
just
really
say
not.
9 years since.
Yeah.
Yesterday, it has been 9 years since the passing of Satoru Iwata. So it's crazy that it's been that long already. And I just thought it would be a good idea for this topical freeze to basically talk about maybe our favorite, just talk about him as an individual. This is the first pipeline we've had during this time, and I think it'd be fun to talk about iconic moments of his, or even just how he was like a really like unique person in the video game space, because this isn't somebody who like started with a business background or anything. This was a man who was a video game developer, programmer, and then he was basically thrust into this leadership position to the point where he basically made Nintendo what it is today. The Switch was like, I don't want to say the Switch was like his idea alone, but he was basically preparing to. The Switch was in its preparation stages before he passed away.
I don't think we would miss a step if we mentioned he basically saved first HAL from bankruptcy by becoming its president. He was obviously appointed by Yamauchi himself to be president of HAL, because they would only save him if he became president, which he was very reluctant about because he was, like you said, a game developer. And then when that was paid off and they were in the clear for NCL, Yamauchi basically said, "Hey, come work at NCL."
That's really cool. Yeah, there's a lot about his history that I'm not super familiar with, so thanks for bringing that up, Don. Wasn't there a time wasn't he like, I could be totally wrong, wasn't he like a CEO of Nintendo of America at some point? Or
Yeah, during the Wii U era, he took over, funny enough, from Kimishima to become the Nintendo of America CEO as well.
Oh, interesting. That's really cool. Yeah, I forget Reggie Fils-Aimé was not the CEO. He was the COO.
Yeah.
Right. That's really cool. It's a fascinating. What a fascinating history this man has. And like he's I remember when he passed away, he helped with Earthbound 2. That's right. Didn't he also?
He fixed it. That's I'll get into that later too. So
Yeah, didn't he also work on Pokemon as well?
Yeah,
He's worked on a lot of
Yeah,
things. And
so
his
his
influence
biggest,
did a lot.
there were two biggest contributions. One was he fit the entire data set of Pokemon into Pokemon Stadium. And then the other big part was he slimmed down the map of the first generation, so Kanto, so that the new map could be introduced together and then make Gold and Silver.
Nice. Yeah. I was also shocked, like at least like in hindsight now, shocked that he was he was always like on camera, always on stage. Something we don't see from any Nintendo leadership today, really.
No.
Like Doug
In the
Bowser's
same
not
way.
in
Yeah.
the same way, right? Doug Bowser was in like one direct,
Mm.
and Shintaro Furukawa, the current president, nowhere to be found. I don't know where this man is.
Also telling now, for example, that we don't know who the current president of Nintendo of Europe is.
Oh, we
Because
don't?
we don't own by any name, but he never appears on screen ever.
Oh, okay.
Because he also helped like Store Shibata to perform on stage during Nintendo Directs. So that entire era with like Shibata, Reggie, and Iwata, Iwata was responsible for us seeing the CEOs of each respective branch.
Mm-hmm. It's just the fact that he would have these segments of Iwata Asks to basically highlight developers and just the work they've done. Especially because it's like, this is a man who knew what game development was. He's not, like I said, not really a business background for sure. Like, it was game development mostly. Nowadays, these bigwig CEOs, now Sony has Herman Hulst, who has a game development background, which is nice, but mostly it's just business guys. But here, Iwata was. It was really Iwata's leadership, and also to an extent Yamauchi's as well. But because he had a game development background, he knew just making more powerful consoles and just only more powerful consoles just led to more tough game development, harder game development. So he knew like that wasn't going to work for them in the long run. They had to come up with ideas that were unique and interesting. So it was that interview that was recently uncovered from Kikizo.com that I did a few videos about, I think, that really just put into perspective just how unique of a leader he was.
Yeah. I mean, the big story that keeps going around about him in, the last few years of the game industry is how he took pay cuts so that the rest of Nintendo employees didn't have to, or that they didn't have to fire people. Like, that's still unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Still unheard of, right? A part of that is also Japanese business practices, but another part of that is Nintendo didn't. From what I understand, Nintendo still had a lot of money that, even though their Wii U business wasn't doing well, but Iwata still took that pay cut anyway, along with Miyamoto and I think someone else. I forgot who, but yeah. So that was just like common story thrown around, and for good reason, especially in this day and age of layoffs and CEOs making way too much money.
Yep.
Real quick, Tris, do you have a favorite Iwata moment?
I have a moment that's spotlighted in the Impact of Iwata book that I was asked to help contribute to.
Yeah.
Which is, to me specifically, through this book and through being asked to contribute to it, I learned how his influence basically led to the creation of like the F-Zero series and the Mario Kart series, and like how much he helped to kind of form those. So it's really like silly, but those of you that know me, it makes perfect sense. I'll never forget the moment in E3 2013 when he's just by the way, here's a brand new Mario Kart game. And there's just something about the way he presents that I'll never forget, when he, like, in front of the Nintendo Direct, like on screen, reveals Mario Kart 8. I'll never forget that. It's my favorite in the series, with where we're at now, at least. And just the fact that it wasn't, looking back compared to how we get games announced now, where have like the headline style and they don't always have someone speaking beforehand. He had like an introduction to what it is, and that felt special.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like the directs back then, they didn't have as much content in them, but but you could tell the people involved in them, Iwata and even Reggie, they were really enthused about what they were talking about a lot. I don't feel like you really get that vibe much in these latest Nintendo Directs, although was it Shinya Takahashi, I believe, who hosted the last Direct? You did see that little smile on his face right before he revealed Metroid Prime 4. So
That's true. That's true.
But even still, it's still very much like business as usual. Here's these announcements, and a part of me is kind of like, why are y'all here?
I mean, Shinya Takahashi is very much like one of the old guard, especially when it comes to game development. So you kind of sometimes see his interests really going through.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, though, probably just Iwata's like best moment in terms of like being on camera and doing something with Nintendo was when he battled Reggie for the Mii Fighters.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that said so much about how much like fun they were willing to have for all of this, and said a lot about them as people. I think.
Mhm.
Don,
Yes.
which one of the ones would you like to focus on? Would you like to do the Game Center CX one?
I mean, they're all three pretty good. I will mention them all shortly. There was a video at the end of E3 2012 where he talks specifically to non-specific action figure that you did the best job, and it was hilarious.
Okay, hold on. I'll
so,
bring that up real quick for us here.
okay.
Give me the links.
Just go towards the end after they leave the room. It's completely fine. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there it is.
Non-specific action figure. Let's go.
He like, because it became an entire meme during that E3, and he just like he embraced it fully, which is nice.
Why isn't that a spirit in Smash?
I know, bro. Just the fact that I think non-specific action figure is one of the most, probably one of the most niche Nintendo references, because I don't feel like people talk about it as much unless you're like in the really hardcore space, because it started out during the pre-E3 Nintendo 2012 Direct, and it was because they were trying to demonstrate what Miiverse was before it was called Miiverse, and like the webcam on the Wii U, and this guy was playing Zombie U, which wasn't called Zombie U yet, but he was just like, oh, if I don't get past these zombies, I'm gonna start talking to myself like a crazy person. Right? Non-specific action figure. And then there it was, and then it appeared there in that interview, and then it appeared in the Nintendo 3DS presentation that day as well. So yeah, we love non-specific action figure.
Yeah, I think it's fun because they were more aware what went around them back then, because it was still early on Directs, but it was also in the period where they were really focused on what the fans were saying. And I sometimes feel that goes by the wayside in recent years.
Sure.
It needs a game. It needs like a small Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Non-specific action figure, the game.
Yeah. The second one, which was a clip that never really released on the American YouTube channels, but released in Europe and Japan, was him unboxing the Wii U.
Oh, that's right.
I never saw this one.
This.
Yeah, and at the end he says, "Sorry for making a mess."
Let's see.
And then I think this is also the point where he completely screws up, like putting it up, puts it the wrong way.
First time I've done. It's
So
like the PlayStation 5 being upside down.
He was very happy of him. Make a mess of opening. It's so good.
Is he speaking Japanese in this or English?
Yeah, because originally it was from a Japanese Direct. So
okay.
Oh, okay, and then it's just subtitled.
It's where they. So we never got an equivalent Direct of this, which was really weird. But this was the day they also announced that the War Plaza was called the War Plaza.
Why is he wearing gloves?
Yeah, he says it at the
Unboxing.
beginning. Unboxing ceremony, and it makes me feel like Mario.
Man, I don't know where I put my Wii U stand.
A bit further.
I don't know where I put my Wii U stand. I miss it.
Where do you want me to go, Don?
A little bit further, where he tries to open the box.
Oh, when he's having trouble opening the box.
It's hard.
I think now he's going to pull out gloves. Makes me feel like Mario.
You know, honestly, I really like this though. Yeah, you're right, because this is very like honest. Like this isn't like a whole scripted thing. You can kind of tell.
But we never got a direct equivalent of this. They did later a short video later that day with Bill, where they talked about the War Plaza. But this was direct where they basically talked more about what using the Wii U was actually like and how to unbox and that sort of stuff.
And do you want to see the Game Center one quickly?
Yes.
Sure.
Oh, I remember. I used to watch Game Center CX, so I remember this.
We'll just do this very short clip where they. So there were a bunch of different clips where obviously they talk about the past of Iwata, but this I found the most funny, where Iwata was asked to actually play Balloon Fight himself.
Yeah,
I will give it a try. Yeah, you're gonna try.
If I remember correctly, this was also funny, whether it was scripted or not. Where the Game Center CX audio didn't even know that Iwata was going to be there.
So originally, this was released as Nintendo Directs used to be a very much longer in Japan, where they do like 30-minute segments after the main presentation. This was one of those segments where they did after the main presentation. It was like the 1 year anniversary of Directs in Japan. So October 21st, 2013, no 2012. And then the bonus segment was this entire segment for Iwata. So they talked about Iwata's past, and they talked about how his parents were firmly opposed of him going to game design, but also the more funny parts like this with the balloon fight.
That's so funny. I was just getting nervous watching him collect all those
Yeah.
balloons. I was like, oh no, dang it.
But yeah, those were like my three main ones that I can immediately think of.
The question mark man has a good question mark man. It's asking, I wonder what Iwata would think of present day Nintendo though. He
It's
would
hard
think,
to say.
we're rich. Yes, we did it.
It's hard to say, because I think some decisions that Nintendo has taken over recent years, like, moves them away from what Directs used to be, like the direct communication stuff side of things. On the other hand, I think he would be very happy about the game pipeline and how they have curated it now.
Right.
The game
totally.
pipeline.
Pipeline.
No,
Psycho
you're absolutely
Mantis.
right. I was talking about this with a friend relatively recently. I would have loved to see what he would have had to say when helping present like Super Nintendo World and the Super Mario Brothers movie, because we see how Miyamoto does it. We see all that from Miyamoto, but I also wish we were able to get that from Iwata.
Yeah, I think he's happy that their mobile initiative is now dead, because haha, I told you so.
Yes, seriously.
A quick Iwata story for me is that I like is how not only sort of saving Earthbound and like organizing it in a way to make it better, which is amazing. So the game happened. It seemed like those people had quite a lot of trouble until like a producer type person and programmer came along. But I believe it was Melee that there was like a game breaking bug near when it was about to be released, and what I had become president then, but fixed the bug in the programming. So,
Oh wow!
It was the last game he actively worked on, because he went back to HAL to finish up the game. He was transitioning to NCL back then, because it was he was a general manager at NCL. He wasn't president yet. But this was the last game he went back to HAL to help on. Yeah,
Went back. It sounded like he said it went back to hell. So I'm just
they're going back to hell. No, and reading in his book how Reggie and him were actually friends. Like you think, oh, it's just appearances. Like he's the president, he's just going to be like putting down his word on the other one, and they're just going to be going back and forth as business people. But no, actual friends. So.
It's interesting. I wonder what that was like, because I've realized recently Iwata didn't really speak English much outside of like the presentations he would have to do. So I wonder if it's just like, did he still do that in person? I don't know, because like his English is good, right? But it's just like when you have to choose between your native language and something else, you're always going to choose your native language.
From stories we've been told is that he would speak English often. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, his GDC speech, he spoke really good English too.
Oh, that's right.
That was kind of where I first found out about him, the Heart of the Gamer speech.
Yeah, that's probably his most iconic moment, probably. In my heart, I'm a gamer. Like, just all around legend. I remember a Reddit AMA with Giles Goddard, who we also have an interview with on our channel, who worked on what did he work on, Tom? Star
Mario
Fox,
64 Face, Stunt Race FX, 1080 snowboarding. Star Fox was the first one they came over for with Dylan Cuthbert. And now head of Chew High Labs. I think that's his company basically, and they did like Carve Snowboarding. That company worked on Curse to Golf, and they did a couple Playdate games. They're really good. They've done tons of stuff.
Very cool. Yeah, he's basically one of like the Nintendo, like one of the big Nintendo guys there. He mentioned how like when Iwata died, it was a very sad day for multiple reasons, mainly because like that means Nintendo was essentially going to be run by the shareholders now. So it just really went to show like Iwata was was a lot more influential than I think even we like realize, even when we're talking about how influential he is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like he still went about things in a very creative way at the company, but now it seems like, and not to just be all doom and gloom Nintendo, right? But not
Right.
to be like that, but you could definitely tell a lot has changed ever since then.
I mean, I think the main difference between Nintendo then and between Nintendo now is that creativity was far more on the forefront in doing creative ideas. Especially, you could even see it like in the smallest things, like in marketing and how they did stuff on the American and the European YouTube channels. I think now that has become, for lack of a better word, very sterilized and very standardized, to the point where there is not much in the way of personality-driven content anymore.
Yeah, and that's a huge bummer. And I know people say, but like, who cares? Just make good games. And I'm just like, yeah, but it'd be nice to have both, right?
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have robot chicken E3s every now and then.
Having charm exist in company presentations and the presence of the company beyond simply the games themselves. Yeah, that is nice.
It is nice, especially having charm and personality on your consoles. That Switch menu is so boring. That eShop is not only trash and runs badly, but it also looks super boring. So, like, I don't know. It sounds like Nintendo was trying to overcorrect things after the Wii U.
Everything is in a cycle. They'll go from first party to like focusing on indie games and reaching out and going back again. So Emio might be an example of the circle going around. Maybe we'll see Switch 2s and reaching out on indie developers. I mean, I know there was only Cadence of Hyrule a long time ago, and like Sniffer Clips at the beginning of launch, maybe.
And the Stretchers was another one.
Which one?
Stretchers.
Yes, Stretchers. Yeah.
Yeah. There were a number of ones through the Switch generation and of course, good job. Rest in peace, the developer of that.
They did a good job on that.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Not that good of a job, apparently. I'm sorry.
As a quick Iwata thing, though, just as a note for talking about his impact, his influence, and something that I see, like even people on chat were talking about wanting to see more of that, and even some of us were saying, we didn't know certain things. Like I said, there is like a whole book that recently came out that's a bunch of input from like various content creators. I'm in it. Andre's in it. There's a whole bunch of other people that are in it. They have their accounts on how they felt about Iwata, memorable moments from him. It's called The Impact of Iwata, and it's a really good read.
Yeah, that was a really good read. Y'all check it out. Thanks for asking me, though, authors. I'm just kidding. Y'all know way more about Iwata than I do, because you're hearing me asking like, it was this, right? He worked on this, right? He worked on this, right? I didn't brush up on my Iwata history before this segment, because I literally just came up with this segment yesterday. But yeah, any final thoughts on Iwata before we close out this week's pipeline?
I think just that I hope the people, not necessarily fully running Nintendo, but that people higher up in Nintendo have like learned lessons from him and are taking those in their leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they move away from the more sterile marketing they're doing.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's good to have some more fun back.
It really is. Yeah, I feel like they did something fun recently, though. A little fun. I don't remember what it was, so they probably didn't do anything fun recently.
They will never be as fun as that 2013 Wii Fit U Direct with Wii Fit Trainer doing the motion and Iwata doing with the countdown timer.
That's actually perfect. I remember when you shared that. I found that hilarious.
So fun. Yeah, there was another thing. I'm completely spaced. Oh no, I liked in the Japanese direct for Luigi's Mansion 2, where Iwata's just staring at the screen, wearing staring at the camera with that Luigi's Mansion cap on, and then Miyamoto's in the back sucking up stuff, and then all of a sudden Miyamoto hits Iwata, and Iwata breaks character and is just like, what are you doing? And then they just start talking about stuff. That was cute. That was fun.
It was fun, which is the big point. It was fun.
All right.
It was fun.
Well, yeah, many great moments. Really down to earth person. Let's move on to a couple quick things to end the show.
All right.
And
shout outs, maybe.
Shout outs.
I don't know what's happening.
We'll do this. There's a Splatfest this weekend.
Right.
Let's go.
Which would you reserve for a day? A palace, a theme park, or a beach? Don, what would you reserve?
Obviously, I already chose my team for this weekend. It's obviously the correct answer is theme park.
Yep.
Tris,
I
theme
agree.
park. Joey,
Yeah.
theme park. Okay, I am
theme park.
choosing beach because theme parks, like, I think that would be neat, but I like a beach kind of in nature and stuff. I'm going to choose that. I'm
Well,
probably
you
making the wrong choice, but
I
that's
want to
what
know who the maniacs are who are going to choose palace.
Right? You know,
Like,
it's
it'd be
you know
one thing
there's
if you're taking like if it'd be one thing if you're taking like a historical tour, but it's just like, oh, it's like I'm gonna go on Airbnb and rent out a palace for a holiday. Like, what?
Right.
Who
Well,
does
for a day, not
that?
for a holiday. It's definitely for a day.
for a day, right? Just like, I'm sorry, I vacationed in Europe and I've been to so many palaces. I don't
Yeah.
need to see any more.
I can't help think for the theme park, that one with Cartman when he bought a theme park and he's like, you can't come, and everyone wanted to, but then he had to slowly let people in to afford running the theme park until it was so busy for him again he had to wait in line and just hated it.
I need to catch up on my South Park.
Well, that's a really old one. I haven't
I
watched
know.
it in a long time. And so yeah, Splatfest this weekend. The second one, Roland Rascal had an update today.
They
There's gonna be an
did.
updated demo,
an
like on their
updated demo.
development. So an updated demo you can try.
So cool.
That's exciting.
They've done some things like make the enemy control better and stuff.
Mhm.
They added a new costume for Rascal, and so Joey had the playthrough on the channel. This is by Curiomatic, and I interviewed Omni for it.
That's exciting.
It is
So
exciting.
yeah. Anyway, I have too many YouTube windows open at this.
It's not like
Close your tabs, Tom. That's like a gig of RAM in each tab.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
There we go.
That's so cool. Yeah, I
Well,
liked what
anyway.
I played in this game.
Yeah. Improved. So that's about it for. Oh, and they do have a pledge box if you missed the Kickstarter now too. That was one of the key.
Oh, that's always
Oh.
nice.
Okay.
So that's Roland Rascal.
It's just like, who could say no to more money? Like, really? Especially when
Right.
you're making a game.
It'll let them complete their remaining stretch goals if they do make it. They said.
Oh, did they redo the visuals too? Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Yeah, updated them. The Buccaneers Beach will be different. So,
Also, I realized it's in the title. We didn't talk about the Game Pass price hike.
Oh yeah, we totally forgot about that. I hate it. I hate it so much. I get it, but I hate it.
I think it's the most annoying part is that I solely subscribe to Game Pass for console because I don't need online. I just want to play the games that are on Game Pass. From now on, I now have to buy a subscription that includes online, no matter what I do.
Well, yeah, that's so stupid. So here's the thing. They have Xbox. They have Xbox.
Xbox.
I'm sorry.
You're so passionate, the accent came out.
my Boston accent came out. I'm sorry. My secret Boston accent. I don't really live in California. Okay.
Xbox.
I don't even know what accent that is. But here's the thing. They have Xbox Game Pass Core, which I didn't even know was a thing. And it's literally just Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah,
You don't even get Game Pass Library in it. You don't.
So in the back end, it's still called Gold, but
Yeah.
they just renamed it.
Stupid. You'd think that would mean just, okay, here's everything you get with Game Pass, but just the bare minimum. No, it's just online. And then but now they have Xbox Game Pass. I think it's called Standard or Basic or something.
Standard, yes.
Standard. You're telling me Standard and Core don't mean the same thing. You're telling me that, really?
Well, in Core, you only get the two previously named Xbox Live Gold, now Xbox Core Game Pass Core titles.
Oh
which are
my!
2 a month.
I get the impression we're going to see.
Basic access to Game Pass without the day one games.
I get the impression by end of the year we're going to see something big with Xbox in a negative sense, unfortunately, because I don't know what's happening over there anymore. But it feels like something's being run into the ground right now.
But here's the kicker: Xbox Game Pass for PC, unlike the console one, still exists.
And it's $3 more a month now. So it's just like, and that's the thing. Game Pass Ultimate is what has gone up also from
Yeah.
$16.99 to $19.99 American.
Correct.
But I don't even think that's like the worst part of this all. Just you see the tiers of Game Pass, and it's just so confusing.
Yeah.
It is beyond confusing because, like I said, you tell me there's Xbox Game Pass Core and there's Game Pass Standard.
Yeah.
What do those mean? What do those mean? And now there's a version of Game Pass. Now there's like two different versions of Game Pass with and without the day one games, which is just even more confusing. It's just
So what I find more annoying is that yes, there is standard without the day one. If you want to play day one games on console, the only way you can do that is buy Ultimate, because PC still includes the day one titles.
So it's a mess. Is mainly what I'm getting. It's a mess.
By the way, if you want, and I'm sure that half of these people already don't care. So if you want cheap Game Pass Ultimate, guess what? You can buy codes from a different country and still use it on your Xbox, because the Xbox codes are region free.
Wow,
interesting.
that's kind of funny, actually.
So what they've done is basically forced more people to just buy codes from a different country instead.
What country though is the cheaper ones?
Most of the Asian countries.
I figured, yeah. Like
Steam, going to different regions and buying games.
All right, I'm
Currency is less.
I'm gonna go fly to Japan right now and pick up a gift. I know.
Maybe with you.
Good luck finding an Xbox there.
That's true.
Again, the codes are region free. Doesn't matter.
Right, it does.
Yeah.
The thanks to Flapjack for bringing this up, because I was unaware of this, just because there's just so much text with this news, a little too much text. The prices and plan changes go into effect in mid-September for those who use auto billing. Yeah, I went to go cancel Game Pass on that day just to send a message. I still haven't done it though, because the prices don't go into effect until September.
Oh,
So you
so
got some time then.
This gets more confusing, by the way. So I used codes, obviously, for Game Pass on console. If you use codes from September, they will only last up to 13 months, and then it's game over for you. If you use auto billing and already had done this before July 10th, it keeps auto renewing, and you just ultimately still have Game Pass for console without it even existing.
yeah.
What? Wow. Okay.
I'll say with stuff like this, sometimes it's like there's a thing, for instance, in Steam when they have a game and the soundtrack. And so you're thinking only on these two options, or like these different subscriptions. If you only have one option, you then start comparing it to other things like PlayStation and like your Netflix subscription. I don't know, like any other subscription. So by having a whole bunch of options, you're focused only on the Xbox options.
Yep.
You're confused. You pick like the most expensive one, but that's a marketing strategy.
Yeah, it sure is.
That's
it really
true.
is. It's just,
Anyway,
this whole thing's confusing.
yeah. Well, okay, can't follow. So basically, like in marketing, if you have different options, people will start focusing on your options and not like your one option and compare it to other brands.
If you need a spreadsheet to find out which is the cheapest for you, and there's not the cheapest option if you want day one games on console, maybe this is not a good thing.
I remember there was a whole fiasco. I think they were going to raise their prices like a year or two ago, and then people got really mad, and then
I
they
remember that.
backed down on that. It doesn't sound like they're backing down on this, especially after that whole Activision Blizzard deal cost them all the monies in the world. So
But hey, what about the people that they let go, guys?
that's right. My goodness, it's just
John, they are working on award-winning games by letting go
They were.
award-winning game studios.
But Hi-Fi Rush 2, huh?
No,
Hi-Fi
sorry,
Rush,
John. They let
too late.
the original leadership was gone, so they didn't have faith in the new leadership that picked up Hi-Fi Rush.
Isn't that so hilarious how Xbox comes out with their biggest banger in years, Hi-Fi Rush, winning all these awards, and then they're just like, yeah, we're closing down this studio. Fucking clown shit. That's all I'm gonna say.
I hope many of those staff get new jobs, or like some of them join Mikami's new studio. That's all I hope.
Oh yeah, he does have a new studio, doesn't he? Yeah, I wish him the best of luck with that. Starting a game studio in this climate. I really
Anyway.
hope it works out.
Maybe not ending on such a downer. Tris and Joe, do you have any features coming up for the weekend that you maybe like to shout out?
Ooh.
Yes.
Or
Tris.
things to look forward to later.
I'm hoping mine is done in time for the weekend. We'll have to see. But I'm working on a feature. If you guys remember, early this year, Joey, you did a feature on how we're currently in Nintendo's golden age. If you take nostalgia out of the picture and you look at like Nintendo's success right now, we're in their golden age. Well, I'm looking at that idea and I'm taking it a step further to say Mario is like the Mario IP is in its golden age right now, whether we've realized it or not, and kind of comparing where Mario is now to where it was throughout the entirety of the 2010s. It's really different. And I've been having a good time with this video. So I hope everyone checks that one out when it's done.
Yes, that sounds really good. I'm looking forward to watching it myself as well, and I totally agree. Like Mario is like just so much Mario content everywhere. I remember right before the direct aired, we were like saying, "Oh, there's not 2 seconds before the direct started." We were like, "No, it's too soon for Mario and Luigi." And what do they show right away? Mario and Luigi. Yeah. That was so great.
That was great.
When those bushes shook, I was secretly hoping that would be Wario and Waluigi. From sports event mayhem. But carry on, Joey.
I love Real Sean Stewart's comment. No swearing on my Christian Game Explained server. Sorry. Here's the thing. We're almost done. The thing is, the rule is you don't swear within like the first minute, or you'll get demonetized. So we're way past that. All right. Here's what I'm working on. So the children yearn for Wii U. I've noticed. Whenever we post something Wii U related, it gets a lot of views because the people love Wii U secretly.
For some reason.
Right. Because I remember doing that. I did a news update last week on how Wii U's are dying. Literally like dying, like they're shutting off if they don't have a supply of power. People got very scared, and the video almost has 100,000 views now. Wow. So just goes to show people don't want their Wii U's to die. They don't want it to die, Tris. They don't. But you know, in response to that, I'm making a video. I'm working on a video today. Hopefully, it'll be up this weekend, most likely. Talking about how the Wii U was sort of a necessary failure. I think I even alluded to this earlier in this pipeline too, talking about how like everyone was frozen for a second.
You're still moving, Joe. Keep going.
Tris was the only one moving on my screen. I was really. I get so paranoid. So here's the... Stop it, Tom! But yeah, basically talking about the lessons Nintendo learned from this catastrophic failure, essentially. And maybe like even the good things that came about because Nintendo was a little desperate. Like we talk about how Nintendo went to the mobile market because their Wii U was failing so badly. But not only did they did that, the Super Nintendo World was announced during this generation, which I don't think it's ever been outright stated by Nintendo that it was because their gaming their market was not doing great. But the timing makes it kind of sus. But
yeah, the timing of when they decided to expand outside of just games was kind of telling.
Yeah, so I think like basically what are the good things that came out of this Wii U failure? Like basically talking about that. So yeah, I'm glad to see Super Gaming's Wii U works fine. Most people's Wii U's turn out to be fine, but Andrew, you better get that thing out of storage. Plug it in. All right. Yeah. But yes, any final thoughts before we conclude this pipeline?
Well, just shout out for Dawn.
Oh,
thank you for joining us, Dawn. Dawn's also working on a video right now, but we can't talk about it. So anyway,
we can actually.
You can?
Yeah, we cannot just not release it.
Okay.
It's I'm working on. I mean, it's mostly going to be a short for the actual game for the review side of it, but it's I'm working on some stuff on Shim, which is going to be a gameplay video, like a Game & Watch and a review sometime next week.
That is the game where you are a shadow and you kind of jump to shadows, I believe.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's kind of a silhouette-y or like two-tone, it's very like only a couple colors and kind of like a very kind of like a toon shader style. It's been in some indie worlds and stuff, I believe.
Yeah, it got a major promotion in the Japanese version of Indie World for some reason, despite this game coming out of my country.
I'm actually pretty excited for that game.
It's
You know, they call it the Netherlands, but I prefer to call it the Dutchlands. That's where the Dutch. I don't know where you get Dutch from the Netherlands. I'm
That-
sorry.
That feels like it means it's time for us to wrap up. We're reaching the weird comments from us all now.
The weird.
I think Joey needs to go away.
I'm gonna go back to Boston, where I secretly come from. But I thank you all so much for watching the pipeline this week, and we will see you all next week if we're not too busy with other projects. So we'll see you all later. Bye bye.
Bye, buddy. Yeah.